There we go. I'm gonna say it's so everyone can hear me better, but yes, I do talk loud sometimes. So, again, if you don't know me, Spencer Davis, Chief Financial Officer here at Godley ISD, and just wanted to go through again. Rich mentioned the demographic numbers, and so as you can see, we have our elementary schools up at the top, our 6th and middle school, and then high school as we go down. And then across the columns are the years. And so one of the things that we did as a district this year is if you look at Legacy Elementary, already being at capacity in the 26-27 school year, since the board made an approval to change the house, which we purchased in front of RBG, into an annex for business services, it allowed us to open up about 80 to 100 capacity for the students. And so that actually can get pushed out probably until the 29-30 year. So when we're looking at it, what is our next step? And so again, we go down and we look at the 6th grade and middle school, and that's kind of the next challenge where we're at. Also, with the growth, we have aging facilities. So we're currently here in Legacy. So you can see as we're in this building, it's a little bit dated, right? So some things don't necessarily match others, some things don't work. As well, as you can see, we're kind of piecemealing with video and projector and different things of that nature. And so again, just trying to find having the equal opportunity across the entire district. And so one of the things that we specifically look at with aging is roofs and rooftop units, and that's, yeah.
Just a little bit of history, just a lot of history. So this is the original, I guess what they call the Alamo. It was built in 1939. This gym and this, it was the cafeteria back then, were actually built before the Alamo. Because there was a building here that burned down. So these are actually 1936, 1937, something like that. This was an addition. You can see the roof is a different color, and it's a pretty old. This is what I call a newer edition. It was 2010, 2011, whatever that was. So when Spencer says it's piecemeal together, it is. And because we have 1930s plumbing with 2000s plumbing, we got a little bit of plumbing issue too. So this one definitely needs a little bit of love. I see a lot of drama here. So I just want to throw that out there.
Great point, Dr. Deere. All right, and then similarly to RB Godley. So RB Godley, where we had the last meeting, was, again, you can see it's a little bit older of a facility. There's some things that are coming up the lifespan that we need to look at. Again, not as old in some of the features that need to be done here at Legacy, but again, there's a lot of things that as we continue to grow in the learning capacity and what students and how we're asking them to learn, there's a lot of opportunity for us to be able to change this around and get it into the 21st learning capacity.
Kind of see where the additions were. This one too. Ricky, when was this built? 95, I think. So this building's 95. I think that's right. This was an addition. That was an addition. That was an addition. So again, it's been added on several times.
And through the years, what we've looked at is the tax rate. So we talked about last time how bonding capacity is around $120 million based on the taxable valuation set forth by the county appraisal district. And this is just kind of evaluation history of what our tax rate is. So historically, our tax rate is hovered around the 50 cents since we are a top 40 fastest growing district in the entire state of Texas. There's things that we need as a school district to keep up with that. But at the same time, you can see that we continue to pull down the maintenance and operation tax rate. Back in the 2019-2020 years, around $1 for M&O rate, and now you can see it's just below 80 cents. And then, as I mentioned, this is our projected bonding capacity. So over the next 4 years, projected to have around $120 million available for any current needs that we have for future planning. All right, and I think that's it for me. I know we're going to have a second. You want to explain the breakout?
So over the last couple of meetings, there's been some questions about some things, and so we thought a good way to address that would be to kind of break up into some groups and have a discussion about these things. So we're gonna have 5 different groups. I'm actually, it's beginning of school. We're gonna go back a little old school. We're gonna number you off and tell you where to go. So we wanna have a discussion, and then you're gonna have a facilitator that's going to help just ask some questions, help capture the conversation, and then we'll share back out after that, okay? So, remember your number, you ready? 2, 3, 4, 5, or no, 4, or 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 7, okay. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Got it? 4. I'm Jamie. 5. 1 on the end. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who else needs a number? 5. Okay. If you're a 1, I'm going to ask you to come up to this area. Come up to this area and have a discussion. If you're a 2, go to that table where Dr. Deere is right there. If you're a 3, come up to this front table right here.
I got the invitation, but I haven't had a chance to look at the
If you're a 4, the middle table. And if you're a 5, the back table.
How are you?
Real 5s?
5.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 8 minutes for discussion. We'll start if you need.
Or I'll go around.
I'll check on you in a few. If you have questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Right. So, traffic. So let's talk about that. We'll start with buses. So, first of all, when I say buses, where is that coming from? Buses, what, where's we have 19, we have just 24 route buses and 9 trip buses. So 6 of those all of our new buses will come on when it's so yeah,
Buying a car that you're gonna pay off for 30 years in a bond, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
the other thing too.
AI says between 12 and 15 years. It depends on factors like maintenance, operating conditions, and mileage.
So we do now have, well, yeah, there's a lot of areas, a lot of ways that we go to. So that life expectancy is, every time they.
every year. So they get enough money. That's make sure all their stuff is over.
Stop lights out, flashing, just going.
I was trying to do everything.
And we try to catch, bus capture, we try to catch those, and we prosecute. Okay, good, yeah,
But
it's hard.
I would say if we're looking at budget, I don't know what, that's why I put some of the permits. I would love to.
Yeah. Right.
And then not buses enough for all the activities that you
Well-
when my kids were going to school. I mean, all the suburbs, everybody would be checked out and then they're trying to figure out how to do all the activities around.
Right. So we're making those more hours, more activities, right? Football, same way, they handed out more helmets than they,
Yeah, they didn't have any buses and now they're.
more routes.
We break down every time we go.
Well, I was gonna say, I think
Every time we take a tour, we tell them, we'll be there. Something.
yeah. Where you take the little bus.
So you got old buses, new buses,
Need more drivers.
yeah, we need more drivers, and that's a hard thing. Drivers, yeah, they're hard to find. Now, we've had a couple of success with the monitors. And those, they help. On the way.
And then she was able to clear her corn at people who were coming, you know, that's nothing at all. But if you're on that job, she,
I think there's been some discussion. Sixth grade. You got numbers about budget.
What percentage of our students have that? Which ones are not interested?
Yeah, I think there's about 1,300 right now. That's registered. The ridership right now is any low. There's birthdays, second day, a few more kids will get home with us. So by the start of next week, we'll have a yeah, so you'll notice, like, I'm not dealing with that, you're gonna have to deal with so we do that. So, okay, so, anything else on buses that y'all can do? So then how can we improve
That we
Build a
can
loop around
control,
the
like
Yeah.
something that we can control.
Okay, so there's a traffic study, I think y'all seen that. Two separate pieces of traffic study. What I was told was about 30,000 traffic study. So we have a traffic study here, and then we have high school. So then, okay, so there. Yeah, and I did. Yeah, so I know. Well, so there are already plans for like basically complete. I mean, maybe even on the west, I'm not sure how far. Just aggressive. Okay, so.
It's really 2 lanes close to street.
Yeah.
You have to turn in all the way.
So.
And I don't know when that starts, but Green Hills is already starting to flip.
Yeah, so it's in the process. So, what are y'all's thoughts on jumping into the high school?
Take about 1 more minute to kind of figure out a summary of
have more room and more opportunities to move. The kids in sixth grade, there's 272 currently, so that'll be over 300 by the time you we'll have 300 kids in a grade. So, same thing as the Western Shore. All of the traffic. It's the same thing. There. Here.
Leaving those two.
Yeah, so you take 300, but you've got, so they got purple lane, more access to, so there's more room. What do y'all think the
Purple Speedway was where, I know not you, but as a kid.
So what
Yeah,
y'all
the
think
kids,
about-
oh, no.
Yeah, where you turn in between the middle school and high school, there's a stop sign. There's a four-way stop right there. You can turn left and go to the middle. And really, it's not enter to the right. You go back around, so it's down to the lane. You got a rounding down.
Okay, everybody has the person who's gonna share and summarize your conversation. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's come back to whole group. Any volunteers to go first? Who wants to share? Oh, come on. Just going for it. I love it. You're like, spoken like a true Henry.
It terrifies me because those kids don't.
Okay, we are in the wild,
What lane to be.
and we were talking about how to get more people involved to know about the wild, like how much money we saved on doing it together, and not just. I mean, I just feel like it's really important to get people in the building, and I was telling like the football games, like put a little 30-second video on the screen so that grandparents, parents, people from out of town, anybody can see this amazing facility that we've built and how amazing it is for our kids and for future kids. And so that was a big topic that we talked about. How can we get people involved? And so we talked about opening it up during football games. And I mean, I don't know about volleyball or basketball, but definitely having those videos on the screen and just getting the community involved. And so having some people inside so that people can, whenever I hear something, I want to go do it right then or I'll forget. So if I see that at the football game, I'm like, oh, well during halftime I'm going to go and check it out and see all the amazing things. And I feel like if they see it, they will understand it a little bit better. So that was really like the main thing that we talked about.
Can you explain what was the plan?
Oh, okay, so the facility, the football stadium, and all the classrooms that they've provided for the kids. So instead of just building a CT center or a football stadium, we did it together as one unit, and so it is a dual purpose.
Any questions on? Stop. Any questions on that topic? Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay. The microphone is yours.
Right now.
Yeah. So my group was group 2. We talked about, we discussed design elements. It's really a tough topic. We've done such a good job here with design, I think, in the last 20 years. Architecture, being on the cusp of, where you want to be, where we're going. We're talking about collaborative spaces. We have a Pleasant View and the different advantages it brings. And we love all of that. But what's sad is our group got to talking about, hey, we don't need to look too nice for the public. Because they think we spend too much money. I'm serious. It's sad. It's sad. We need to dumb it down and make it look like an old school again. And, I hate to see us having to have that discussion, but there's people in this community, y'all all know them, and so do I. Hey, that's too nice. We spent too much money on that. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we want to be nice. We want to have the collaborative spaces. We want to be open. We want to have, places where you can go outside and teach and learn. But we've got to have this thing passed. And I think, so the bottom line is we've got to be competitive, price per square foot. And if we're competitive, we're gonna go out there and tell them, hey, we were only $5 more than Joshua. Joshua doesn't look like our school, no, but, you know, we were only a few bucks higher than they were per square foot. So I think that's the big deal. You know, we finally decided on, hey, we've gotta be competitive, square foot wise. And, but it's sad. You say, hey, we don't need to put too many bells and whistles in it because the community is gonna be upset. So that's where we're at. It was tough. Any questions? Yes. Do we have any details on the collaborative spaces? They're detailing right now, I think. Do we have any details on the collaborative spaces? I think they're just, the teachers could utilize them more, and we also talked about Pleasant View. If we got too full in some of the schools, there's some areas where we can bring some extra classrooms and extra students into some of those spaces. And we think, we'd like to see numbers whether those spaces and those items help our students learn more. You know, and I don't know if Godley, maybe it's too small of a sample size to say, are they doing better in Pleasant View than everywhere else? I don't know if that's fair, but there should be some numbers somewhere that's showing, hey, if we build schools like this, our students tend to do better, learn more. I don't know if that's possible, but if we can come up with some of that, it'd be great to get that out to the community. You know, because I think now, everybody that moves here, you all love our schools. We love our schools. Dr. Deere, the team have done a great job. They're beautiful. I get comments everywhere I go about our stadium and our schools, and everything's awesome. But when the community drives by, the bad part is when they pay their tax bill, like, yeah, they spend too much on that. You know, that's the truth. So, like I said, we've come so far, and everything's so great. I hate to regress and go back to the Alamo. So I don't know, but it's a tough one we were dealing with. So I don't know, but I think we need to get our pencil out, sharpen it, and see what we can do price-wise. That's the only way. One thing I know. So, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I think there's definitely something to be said for flexibility in instruction and teacher retention as well. So that would be an interesting conversation. Okay, are you ready? Okay.
I was gonna start a rumor though. I really was interested in group 3 because I just knew we were gonna get an escalator in high school. Wait till that rumor gets out, Dr. Deere. No, it's not. The challenge is not the elephant in the room. Two big events happening at the same time. We've got aging facilities, and it's a given, and they're well maintained, and they've been taken care of as best they can. But there comes a time when you've got to bite that bullet. And the explosive growth. And either one of those, this meeting would not be as tense. But both of them together have just collided. We were at my table last meeting, we talked about it. You know, why the numbers are so big? It's because the two needs are just so important. And prices are not stable. They're not what they were 10 years ago. When the last time we repaired a roof or bought an air conditioner, those prices are gone. And so, you know, we have to talk to our friends and neighbors at the stores, and that we're not building that overdone one. We're taking care. We're trying to be responsible on the money, and in recognition that prices are going up, and they're not going to get better. If we pause, they're not going to be better in 2 years when we really have students hanging out windows, and we really need a building, and we don't want portables. I think portables just look like we don't have a plan, and we do. And it's that, so and the power bonds, I guess that's the selling point. We've got can go out and keep talking about the need and being proactive and taking advantage of the prices and getting something that we'd be proud of in building for the future. And I'm not gonna get that escalator.
Any questions on the topic of escalation of part 1? Okay, we've got a couple more groups. You're ready.
So we had the topic of traffic and buses, and I kind of made the joke that after the first week of school at elementary is probably not the time to talk about traffic, but I do know it gets better. When we talked about buses, we had some data that said we said that some of the buses are antiquated. We have 6 that are in urgent need of being replaced and 8 more in about 2 to 3 years. 19 of our buses do not have seatbelts, and that is the new legislation that comes through, that they have to have seatbelts as we replace them. We're obviously growing, so we have more kids, which means more bus routes, but also more activity and extracurricular, needing those extra buses. And then with that comes more drivers. And so it's kind of this equation that we put together that it's obviously expensive, but it's a safety need. You don't want to pack the buses full of children. We want to make sure that we stay in compliance. The traffic here, especially 2331, I get to go to several campuses to pick up children, and so I've learned the back way. I'm not going to tell my secret, but I've learned a way to get in and cheat the big long line in the afternoons. But after the first week, it really does get better. Once those kindergartners start learning how to put themselves, in their seats, and parents realize it's going to be okay to drive a little ways while they're buckling their seatbelt, it gets better. It does relieve the traffic jam. I know it's a frustration. I think a lot of it, we didn't talk about this, but it just popped in my head, so I'm going rogue. A lot of it is learning to pull over instead of blocking 2331 at 2:30 in the afternoon. That's not safe for anybody, but to pull over to the side, I'm sure those people love it, but it's just necessary to let the traffic flow so it doesn't get as bottlenecked. What else did you say here? 171 has more capacity than 2331 as far as expanding a variety of different ways to get off of those major highways, and talk about lane expansion that TxDOT is working on. So that will also help some of the congestion. And then I think that's pretty much all we had. Any questions? Yes, sir.
How are you gonna fix the little intersection between middle school and high school? That wonky one, just no one can turn right?
No roundabout.
How am I going to fix it? Well, I make my 8th grader wait until I'm ready to come pick her up and let some of that traffic, because I have to pull in, do the loop, and then I'm the person that takes the left to a purple lane because I have to go that way. So I just make her wait a little bit. It's patience, and people need to learn the zipper method. If they would learn that, it would just be a whole lot easier. Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot, that's my role.
Minor SROs not helping with traffic.
They haven't out here yet because exactly what you said, you can't clear traffic because everyone's they've been over here and
I've
they're
seen
just like, yeah.
I've seen Godley PD here. I've seen a fire marshal truck guy tell the lady to move up because she was blocking with the back end of her car. It was.
But they are going to get over here, but they have been here, it's just they're here, it's block jam, and they'll go somewhere else, you just don't see over here.
And ours is helping daily, like our SRO has been out there every day. I've seen thieves there every day.
I will tell you, it's already getting better because I made my child be the last one to pick up because I didn't leave my house till way later. Sorry, Tom. But it was already, the traffic had already been passed through by the time I got here, and so it's already getting better. It was just those first 3 days, and it's like that every year. It just is what it is. Yes, I mentioned that. I mentioned that. As our numbers increase with our attendance, that those that will be involved in extracurricular will also increase, therefore the need for not only route buses, but also extracurricular buses. It would be really cool if we would get a donation if we had them wrapped. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
But then you can't get them in the school bus.
And our last group.
Okay, so we had 6th grade, and we discussed the blending of little elementary babies that are growing and maturing, but putting them in with the 8th grade children that could technically be freshmen by age, and the big gaps there. I had concerns about how long this capacity is going to hold us, which I know is kind of like the mirror ball, you don't know. But that I think is something that we need to really clearly address with the community and in addition to that, the way that we're gonna segregate them for, you know, passing periods and lunches and things like that. I'm a mom of a 7th grader who's this big, and so I know like that's a concern just as a 7th grader in there with the mix. We talked about, how we can repurpose 6th grade campus into, I guess, admin offices or something to open classrooms here specifically. What else? What am I missing? Yeah. Any questions? Reminds me of teaching. I love it.
You learned everything.
I hope you learned something in your discussion, and we debated having you rotate from group to group and all of those kinds of things, but I do think having a conversation around the things that have come up is very important. And like you said, addressing it with the community is kind of that telling the why. I know, I was in a community and we looked at moving 6th grade. I know it's a big conversation because the moms are like, oh, I don't know about this. But there's things like increased access to electives, and there's ways to keep them segregated. And I think that's a lot of telling that story. So, as we continue, last time we met, do y'all want to move back? Are you good where you are? We are going to have another group discussion if you're good where you are. So, that would be my recommendation. Last time we met, we had some pages of projects that came from your first meeting. You all talked about the needs, the wants of Godley ISD. What does the future look like? What do we need to address? And so we looked at a list of projects, and you all ranked them. You ranked them individually, and you ranked them as a group. So, you've done a few things before you get to see the ranking. As we took the projects that kind of rose to the top, we had some good discussions with your leadership team, campus and district. So based upon feedback, here's some things that have been adjusted and further discussed. One, some of you said, yes, our elementaries, RBG and Legacy need new roof, and they also need RTUs, yes. However, there's also some spaces that just need some updating, and so we took that into account. We looked at that. The level of flexibility, as you said, Pleasant View now has some space where it's a collaboration space that offers a different type of instructional space right now, but also could be used for some growth in the future. So looking at levels of flexibility in some of these renovations, how could we open up some spaces that could provide that flexibility on your older campuses? Classroom technology, we looked a little bit further at. Y'all really talked about you wanted equity between the campuses, and so we dug further into that. The transportation facility, you said, I think this is too much, and so we went back and reviewed that and made some adjustments there. And then we looked at escalation. There's a lot of projects that rose to the top, and so obviously all of those projects couldn't be done immediately, and so you would have to escalate out. So we're gonna give you a few different scenarios. Some have more escalation built in than others because the amounts are different. So here's the dun. Drum roll, please. Here's what came to the top. So your elementaries, you said RB Godley and Legacy definitely need to be updated, and that was 1 and 2. The buses were identified kind of as a third priority. The Godley Middle School edition, the transportation, I think the new buses, you're like, we need a place to take care of them. Classroom technology, the Godley Middle School renovation, and I will say if you look at the green bar on the left, when you look at the group scores, there was kind of a big divide. So you have like a score of 18, so that's at least 6 groups or more ranked that as high. And then you kind of had a break, and you had a lot of things that kind of tied. So the Performing Arts Center, the Career and Tech updates, and then some of the traffic things that come into play. So that was kind of top 10 as you all ranked them. You the second green to yellow bar is the individual scores. So there was some good alignment in those things. There weren't big differences between the group scores and the individual scores. Questions about that?
Yeah, before you get to the scenarios, I think we made some changes in the Godley Middle School renovation part because the stuff that you saw the last time only included roof and HVAC or the RTUs. So
Yes.
there was some feedback last time about some renovations inside the building as it exists now. And I think Ms. Pinkerton can address some of those issues when she's ready to talk.
Okay,
So,
there you go. I'm gonna hand the mic to you.
Okay, yes, Deer and Metter asked me to, speak on behalf of the middle school because we get left out a lot. And I think it's, of course, I'm the 8th grade science teacher. And so I think it's near and dear to my heart, and I want it to have the upgrades and all the stuff, because the middle school kids are just as important as the big ones and the little ones. And so I'm gonna start out with some of the good stuff that happens at the middle school. We'll start out with, we have a great admin team, and it has, made a significant difference in our group this year. It is really, they really brought it in, and it's going really good. The middle school only holds 2 grades. That's it. We only have 2 grades, 7th grade and 8th grade. And we have a great parking lot. We have a great parking lot in the back for teachers, and we have a great parking lot in the front for the parents that come in. And then we have the bands that are able to use that front parking lot to help them do the high school stuff. We have a courtyard that is welcoming to the visitors that come into the property. And so there's some renovations that can be done there, but overall it's good and it's nice. We have a controlled entry with the vestibule that we have at the very front. Nobody's coming into that school until we release them to come in. And a lot of times parents will just stand there and wait for their kids. So it's a safe, that area when we have visitors coming in is very safe. We have 2 hallways, like main hallways. And so even when the new kids come in, we can say you go down 100 hall or you go down 200 hall. Now, those are the educational halls. We also have Fine Arts Hall, and we have a gym hall, and we have the band hall. But overall, we have 2 hallways, which is phenomenal. Because when those kids come in, they're scared to death. And so then they can't get lost. It's fine. Our classrooms are very spacious. I love my classroom. It's phenomenal. I have plenty of room to have the kids on one side. We do classroom work, and then we can go right on over to the lab and do stuff over there. So it's really, I enjoy it. And we have the bus driveway that goes around the school and goes around to the back. So the buses are not competing with parents in that section right there up at the front. So it's really nice that we just go on, and they go into the high school, and then they go out the same way. With that said though, now I'm gonna start the stuff that needs work. We only have 1 driveway to get in and out of the middle school, and we share it with the high school. It's really hard. And we're right on 171, which is a major highway that's bringing traffic from Weatherford to Cleveland. So traffic on 171, even like the first 2 or 3 days, was stopped at some points during the day. Again, like Amy said, it is just the first day, the first week stuff. That just happens. But we only have really 1 driveway because the buses have the other driveway. So I would like to see if we could somehow get another driveway to help with the flow of traffic. Our building is at capacity, or almost at capacity. As of yesterday, we have 515 students. Our building holds 550. We are only 35 students away, and we've been getting students every day. I didn't ask today if we had anybody come in, but I know we had new ones yesterday. So our numbers are rising fast, and we started the school right at 500 kids, and we're already up that many. So our numbers are rising fast. The roof is leaking. It's been leaking for a few years now, and we're starting to have some damage done to that because of it. We have, this past year, we had a waterfall in the girls' locker room, a literal waterfall, and we have video of it coming down in the middle, and it's flooding everywhere. So that was an issue. That was from the roof problems. Whenever it does rain or we have storms, we have windowsills that leak in many of the classrooms, and because of that, now the wood around those windowsills are warping, and it's causing more water to come in. We have doors that leak whenever it rains, and we have water that just sometimes just trickles down the painted wall inside classrooms. And that causes the water to stain the walls and just look really gross. We also had, last year I think it was, maybe 2 years ago, we had some paint that was holding water, rainwater after a storm for a couple of days. And so until somebody went and popped it in one of the hallways. So we have issues with the roofs at the middle school just as much as the elementary schools. Our ACs are also old. They're not working properly. Sometimes some of the classrooms are freezing cold, sometimes they're sweltering hot. We've had classrooms that have to go to the library or a different classroom just because they can't be in that classroom. It is way too hot or too cold. Some of the ACs leak in the classrooms. We may not even have a storm and we've got water that's dripping from the ceiling, and it's because of ACs. In the gym, we only have half the ACs that work. So when we were doing award ceremonies last year, it was miserable because we had all these people and the parents and everybody, and only half of the air conditioners worked. So it was hot. We have termites in one of our classrooms. Every spring they come up and they fly around, and the kids go crazy because they've got bugs in their room. And we try to get rid of them, but termites is one of those things. It's really hard to get rid of, and they come back every spring. And this has been for a couple years now because the teachers will leave their classroom. They don't want to be in there whenever they're flying around. We have water pipes that bust. We actually had one this week that busted in the gym. I think it was the gym area or the athletics area. They had to bust out the wall and the flooring, the concrete flooring, to get to the pipe to fix it. And most often it's because of just the foundational movement. We have mold growing in rooms from the water leaks that we've had. In my room in particular, I have pipes that run from the bathrooms through under the school, and those pipes condensate between the hot and the cold of the days and the seasons. And so that condensation then grows through the tile, and so now you can see literally where the pipes run in my room from that mold that comes up. And you cannot, the custodians have tried for years to get it to scrub it off and to get it out, and they can't, so they just keep waxing over it. And so you can see where the pipes run and they cross, all these things in my room. And then you can tell that this has been a problem because there's been tile there that's different from all the other tiles around in the other classrooms. So in Miss Underwood's classroom, in the hallway, in Penny's classroom, in the closets even, they're all different tiles from what my classroom is because it's been a problem, and it's just part of the foundation. The PA system in the cafeteria needs to be upgraded. So we have students that come in, we have our 515 students that come in every morning, and they go to the cafeteria and they wait for the announcements and the messages and whatever else that needs to be said. And then the PA system, we get over about 5 words. And whenever you have 515 kids, they need to hear every word. And so that's an issue. It evidently broke all the way, over the summer, so that's, an issue. Technology throughout the school is just old. They have, projectors and things that have been in the schools for a long time, and they're just old, they're wearing out, and so they need to be replaced. The fire alarm sensors sometimes work correctly, sometimes not. We have old plumbing and clogged pipes. The piping in that school is old. So in some of our classrooms, we have sewage smells sometimes when the wind blows just right. We also have low water pressure, and the water in some of the sinks is cloudy because we're getting air in it somehow. We don't know, but we got cloudy water coming out of the sinks. We have bathroom stalls that are broken, tiles missing and cracked on the flooring and the sides of the walls. And some of our tiles that are missing are up front where you walk in, and that's what the first thing you see is missing tiles. And we just waxed over them this past year. We have spray painted the ceiling tiles where the water stains have come up on the ceiling tiles from the roof leaks. We spray painted them white, so hopefully they don't show very much anymore. The doors, the building obviously is settling, it's old. And so we have doors that now sometimes don't shut all the way. And so to fix that, we slice off part of the doors so that the door will shut again. With that said, we also have some doors that have been replaced, and the keys now don't really correlate with what they're supposed to be. And then for my classroom, I actually have 3 keys I have 5 doors and I have 3 keys. So for safety concerns, that's an issue to me. Because what if I have them in a room and I need to get to this other room, but we have to keep our doors locked, and now I have to fiddle through 3 different keys to figure out which one it is. Because I'm in an emergency situation and I'm not thinking as well as I need to be. So I think that's a big issue, and it's not just my classroom that's like that. We have other classrooms that have that same situation. I think that's all. As you can see, I'm very passionate about wanting the school to be up to par with everybody else, because I think it's really important we treat our kids, whether they're bigger or little, with the same respect and have that same stuff that they need. Okay.
That sounds like a first-hand knowledge for sure. Well, what we really want to focus our conversation on tonight is a couple of scenarios. So in looking at your feedback and what you rated as things that we need to address, having conversations with the district, also knowing that some of these things feed into each other. Obviously, if we're looking at an addition to the middle school, we probably need to address traffic. I think we heard that. So we probably need to consider that, even though that was a little lower on the list. We had good conversations about that. And in order to create some space at Legacy in particular, that 6th grade, fixing the roof at the current 6th grade campus, once the 6th graders have moved out, would be important, so we can move different programs over there. So those are kind of some of the conversations that went into the scenarios. I am going to give you a page that includes all this. You don't have to write all this down for your discussion, but I just kind of want to hit the highlights. So scenario 1, the things that you ranked high, takes us above what we know you have capacity for in 4 years. You would have to extend that into additional capacity. So you see the total investment there, the total debt. It includes renovations to RB Godley and Legacy. So that is not only the roof and the RTUs, but also some light renovations and some medium renovations to do things like add some more space in the cafeteria, and then to do some refresh in the buildings. So that's included on both the RB Godley and the Legacy, because we heard that that was necessary. we talked about that. That would be adding another instructional hallway, and so it would double the capacity of that campus. And so that would be the bulk of that work. That would have to take place first. You'd have 7th and 8th graders move there, and then you could renovate the 6th grade. So keep in mind, some money to go toward that 6th grade campus. You'll still have 6th graders there for a couple years through design and addition and renovation work. The 6th grade campus renovation is primarily the roof and the RTU, just to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible and preserving that resource so that we can use that space, because the district has that space already in use. The classroom technology does include data wiring, as well as the BenQ, the interactive panels for RBG, Legacy, the 6th grade center, that would go over with the kids, and then any other rooms in the middle school. So that would create some equity between campuses. The Performing Arts Center, we talked about the last time. We did add escalation to that price, an additional year of escalation, because that would have to be pushed out further. We would take care of the student needs first, and some of that growing and renovating of campuses prior to that. The career and tech renovations, we talked about the last time, focused on ag and culinary. That's included addressing traffic concerns. Again, with some escalation, there's some concrete. So the traffic studies are the smaller part of that. The concrete to actually make some of those things happen are a bigger part of that number. The transportation facility, again, we did make some adjustments based upon feedback. That does have some escalation, because again, the district wants to focus on the places where kids are right now, and then do those other projects a little bit later. And then some additional escalation, because this would take you out a little bit further. As you go into the second scenario, you see the total investment, the total debt. Same scope in all of these projects, but it pulls out that Performing Arts Center. It pulls out the transportation facility. It pulls out the career and tech renovations. So those are the things that are pulled out of this one. You know, within the next 4 years, you have capacity to cover this. There is still some additional escalation for that, just for that 4th year project. And then, scenario 3 changes the RV Godley and Legacy to just the roof and RTU and the plumbing things that need to be addressed, and so it does reduce that number a little bit. And really, it's kind of those immediate needs, focused on the middle school, getting that set up, the classroom technology, the buses, and then the additional escalation. So, that's a lot to consider. So what I would like for you to do, I'm gonna give you a paper, and it has each of the 3 scenarios as well as the project priorities. I'd love for you, while you're kind of in this mixed group, just to spend some time talking about each of these scenarios. What do you think makes sense for Godley ISD, for your needs, and responding to the growth, and responding to the facilities needs, the aging facilities? But also, what do you think your community supports? And it's gotta be a twofold conversation. You can want all the things for students because you know it's good for kids, but you've gotta consider both sides of that. What do you want to put out there or recommend to the board to consider for the community? But also, what do you feel like you need for the students? Any questions about the discussion or the scenarios? Okay, then we'll give you the paper. You all can start discussing the 3 scenarios that are included here.
Sensitive as the sound.
Did you hear that?
We're actually using the MacBook.
Oh, so it's right there. That's cool.
Well, yeah, but we have.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of it. I know it's cheaper, but I feel like, the last one we talked about renovation, legacy on the inside, the ways that can happen, and we get memorable for kids. It had to be pushed back because other things have taken precedence. So I think a lot of the escalation. But I don't know, it's a cheaper price point, but there's so much that is being removed.
I think we
I can't get away from talking like that.
Well,
I'm a big fan of scenarios, resonated with me, because again, the citizens can see renovation that is happening. They can see renovation at the sixth grade edition, and I think that's very necessary.
You understand the psychology. I figured you did.
Resonate with people who also don't have that choice.
See your way through it.
Well, I've seen like at one of the district that I've been at. Did you get a part of it?
No, I did that. I'm a very visual person, so I eliminated that one.
Just eliminated that one. Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. They were on a different schedule. They didn't have lunch together. They didn't switch classes together. It was like completely different weeks. It was almost segregated, if you will, but what wasn't segregated was the staff, facilities, and the opportunities. One is at 5 a.m. But, and then devil's advocate is when he gets into seventh grade, you're gonna have that issue on again anyways, you know what I mean? So, I gotta find it out.
Funny story, my first gig. Correct, yeah. What is G6 was 6, 7, 8. And so again, it just grew in capacity. We had to make a decision between 6 grade and 4 year to the 6. Then to high school, of course, they said, and a principal. 6, 7, 8. It was all, yeah. It's that way too, yeah. So, it was funny, 6 grade. But I have seen it work here in a lot of them. But they were on it. So what the proposal is having a separate name on what you're saying. It's not something that has some of those things. 6 grade. That's where sometimes they don't quite fit. Sometimes the other things that go on. But having that, I think Three.
three of them, so like all
I think it has to be built. You got new, down, certain bit like this. So I suppose if you had high school. But there's.
Yeah, there's a gym, at Pleasant View, it's a gym, at the high school, it's a gym, and a band hall.
So it's built out.
Of course, you can get additional, gym. If it was a gym, then you would still keep the sixth grade, separate, 7th and 8th.
Just one big tunnel.
A bunker?
Just build a tunnel from here.
Okay, there's been a request for a couple of questions have come up. So just in case it helps with your conversation. One question was, if we do this addition to the middle school, what would the total capacity be? It would be capacity for 1,200 students. At that point, your community would need to make some decisions as to what's that next step. I don't think you would have put more than 1,200 middle school students on a campus. So that's one. Number two, the question was, what's the difference between light, medium, and heavy renovations? Light renovations has to do more with finishes. It's not just lights. Finishes, flooring, wall, lights, interior renovations. Do you want to add on to that?
No, I mean, that's accurate for light. I would say medium, it's when you get into moving walls and like kind of reconfiguring the spaces. And then heavy is when you're introducing a lot of plumbing rework, extensive electrical rework, things like that. So that's kind of how we gauge for the purposes of putting some numbers together.
And that addition has, for the middle school, has classrooms, expanded cafeteria, some of your athletic and fine arts spaces as well, so that you could house all of those students along with the electives, extracurricular things, and feed them as well. Any other questions that would help your conversation continue? Okay, I'm gonna give you about 3 more minutes, and then we'll continue the conversation. The other thing, that middle school, the medium renovation part of that, moving walls to realign the administrative space so that the office is then right there off of that secure vestibule. And so you have more of that CLI feel for the middle school. Okay, about 3 more minutes.
I can't get by something like that, like a month, and to even hear what Angie said, like, middle school was your hardest time in your life when you're figuring things out, and then you're kind of walking, you can see that we came in from a really nice, we came in from Pleasant View, and then you see the high school over here, and you're sitting kind of in the dump beach.
Middle kid syndrome.
Yes, yes, it is the middle kid syndrome, and during their hardest time, you know, when the transitions happen, if you give this a school to be proud of, will that encourage more positive behaviors?
What's the cost?
Not more 1,200.
So if you have 550, 650 makes
It would be more because the infrastructure is already here. Because we passed that on last month. We've got land for actually 2. It'd be more expensive. Yep. Because we had to get all the infrastructure. And there's yes. And middle school here still has the football field, still has the track, replicate all that. mixed up too, yeah. It's gotten 2 gyms, because I think we'd be adding a gym.
You wouldn't have to add a school shelter or something?
Yes, we would have that.
But it doesn't have to be a gym.
Doesn't have to be.
Okay.
So it would be more expensive to add.
Well, and because when they finally start building phase 2 and when they start building phase 3 of the housing development behind, then the whole sewer system coming into the school to get fixed. So I was told that.
Godley Ranch? Are you talking about behind the high school?
Yeah, when phase 3, the builder has agreed to redo the plumbing coming from there through the school and out to the city. So you're gonna get even more. I don't want that part of the neighborhood to be built because that's my backyard, but when it gets there, the water manager, he was telling me that there's a lot of pressure because that developer is going to pay for a lot of the water works things, which staying in this area, you're probably going to have to do.
Yes. We'll eventually need to do that, because even with this expansion, it's just 4 or 5 years until.
Well, I guess there's what, 4 elementary schools, the kindergarten class I had 400 kids. Now we have 3 elementary with 400 kids, so
Sixth grade currently is
so when we have for some seventh graders and those we
I agree with you. 3 people are gonna get extra somebody has nothing done at the road.
I can remember when. Right? Yeah.
Almost 30 seniors when I first started here. 25, 27, something like that. And now my kids are taught, they have to married and all that.
So when you and I started at high school.
All right, we're gonna move on. Hopefully your discussions are wrapped.
16, 17.
And we can move on to the next part of this. And that is for y'all to take out your phones. I know it's funny, we can actually say tonight that you can take out your phones because students have been doing really well with not having their cell phones out. But tonight, we want you to take your cell phones out and use this QR code to register your vote about which scenario you prefer. And this is an individual vote, so not your group, but individual. So just take a few minutes and you can register your vote.
They'll teach them how to write.
Right to review and
And I used to be.
I've been that too. About 30 minutes later. Really?
Our rule is that they did not get phones until before then, we got one phone, and they would check it out. So if you were going to the building, or you were going to stay the night at the house, you would check out the phone for that period of time. But then, at the point that they were playing ball, going to 2 different cities, that was when we were like, okay, because we couldn't always be in both cities.
All right, is everyone taking time to scan the QR code to vote? All right, so Christie's going to show us. So 26 votes for scenario 2, 2 votes for scenario 1, and 3 votes for scenario 3. Anybody want to speak about their support for scenario 2 or one of the other ones? Or is this something that we can ask the entire group, can you, since there's overwhelming support for scenario 2, can the whole group support scenario 2? Okay.
Okay, so our table was discussing scenario 2, and we felt like, going back, like, we didn't choose one specifically because we think that the high school, everybody knows, has gotten all the razzle dazzle the last few years, and we don't think we can get community support to get any more to that. So we felt like scenario 3 with the roof and RTU renovations for the elementary schools was really just kind of adding a Band-Aid onto other Band-Aids that are already there. So we thought scenario 2 was best. We talked specifically with Mr. Metter. We were talking about this committee and everybody that would support a bond, really having like major media blitz from the district, and then us sharing, like, we've got to let the community members really know the need. And we talked about, I said, I guarantee you we could get teachers to be on committees to give their time 6 times out of the semester or whatever to give facility tours and let them walk in and see the mold spots in the walls and the roof leaks and things like that. I said, as a committee member, board member, I would be willing to do that as well, because I really think that until people see it, they don't really like fully comprehend what need we're in. And then we also talked about taking, like, instead of having just these bullet points like this, putting even more drilled down bullet points underneath to really spell out, like, what our architect in the back of the room back there was kind of explaining, like the light reno versus the bigger renos and what that entails and all those things. And then even further into that, taking, like, if we were gonna do propositions, because that's what we've heard from the community, that they want options for votes. If we did like elementary schools, middle schools, and then we said technology and transportation, and then someone kind of said, well, what if we don't get technology and transportation, if we just, instead of doing tech and transportation, that we just did transportation, and we take the technology money and funnel it into those elementary bullets, and again, have that really spelled out, like, where that's going, so people aren't thinking that it's just a bunch of computer screens going out, like, it's the internal wiring, all of the things like that. So that was our big discussion. Questions, comments?
Okay, anyone else?
Is there any way that the planning committee could get pictures sent to them of the things that are wrong, like at the middle school?
Okay, so with 26 of you here tonight voting for Proposition 2, are those that supported Proposition 1 and 3, are you willing to support Proposition 2 so that we can have unanimity leading tonight? Or are there things that you would like for everyone to consider about Proposition 1 and 3? Okay, so by a show of hands, can everybody support Proposition 2? Oh, this is just to give you a timeline. The last day to call the election is Monday by 5 o'clock. School board actually had a special meeting on Thursday night at the high school in the den. All of you are invited to come, and because the main agenda that night will be for the trustees to consider whether to call a bond election. So then the last day to register to vote was 30 days before the election. That's October 6th. Early voting is October 20th through the 31st.
Can you clarify the meeting for the school board? What date?
It's Thursday, this Thursday.
The 14th?
The 14th at 6 p.m. And it's going to be in the den at the high school. And it should be, this is about the only, I think there's some personnel matters that will be on the agenda for the trustees to consider, but this is the primary agenda item. So, and then election day is November 4th. That's also the same day there will be some state constitutional amendments on the ballot, including an increase in the homestead exemption. So those are the main days for the bond, if the trustees call. So just as a reminder, everything is on our website at godleyisdfpc.com, and I will email out the presentation from tonight, as well as a recording from our YouTube channel, as well as a summary that we put on the district website. So this is the source. All this will be posted tomorrow, and the summaries and presentations from the last two meetings are also on that website. So, Dr. Deere, you want to close this out?
Thank you guys for coming tonight. I'm thrilled we had such a unanimous and quick recommendation. That's awesome. That's something that we've ever done. We would love to have everyone here Thursday night. It's going to be at 6 o'clock. Like Jeff said, it's the only thing on the agenda. Then we'll go to beat the Wildcat, and we'll just have a good time. So thank you guys. I appreciate your time.
Group picture?
Group picture?
Yes. Jeff. Jeff.
Yep. I've loved it. My lady's with me for days.
I have a few of them that they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's active. If y'all are really thinking about a roundabout, go to Pearson.